So the Russian judge for the Browns, as far as the draft goes, Mel Kiper Jr. He gave him a B, and his rationale was edge rusher was the biggest need, and they didn't address it. I don't know how. I get where he's going, but I don't know that it was the biggest need.
Yeah, I don't either, and it would have been a forced pick where they took. Would you rather have an edge rusher? Would you have Greg Newsome? I'd rather have Greg Newsome playing cornerback with the cornerback that they need. I would argue, especially after free agency and getting Clowney and McKinley, yes, edge is certainly a long-term need, and they did not address that. Mel's not wrong in that aspect, but I think the more pressing need to win games in 2021 was cornerback. And the fact that they got a guy in the second round, Owusu-Koramoah, who can play that safety role. He can play the hybrid linebacker role. He can rush the passer if you ever ask him to. He can be the one linebacker that's on the field in Joe Wood's dream 4-1-6 defense. Getting a guy like that where they got him. Again, Mel's not wrong. They didn't address edge. They still sort of need one for the long term, but they didn't have to have it right away. The things that they had to have to make the defense work, they got. So, I'll respectfully disagree with Mel on that. I generally like Mel.
Yeah.
I know it's sort of cliche in the industry to like him. I do. He's a good guy. He's been personally helpful to me, so I'm not going to say anything bad about him. But sometimes his priorities get a little out of whack.
Yeah, no, and I get where he's going with that. But the edge rushers that were available were, even this year, they were kind of the island of misfit edge rushers. This one had a knee issue. This one had concussion issues. This one, you weren't quite sure if he was big enough. There just wasn't a guy that you looked at and said, boy, he projects well, and they were all risky picks without the really high-end reward.
Yeah, I can see his point maybe for a day three guy that has a lot of athletic upside, but those guys sort of went earlier than they thought. I'll use a guy like Malcolm Kuntz out of Buffalo as an example. This was a guy that a lot of people projected for the Browns actually in number 257, which they traded out of, but at the very end of the draft, and he wound up going in the 5th round. So there was a bit of a run on those guys in the middle of day three that sort of prevented the Browns from ever even addressing it at that point if they wanted to.